Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Doris Cinema. It is 2 o'clock in the morning, and I just got back from seeing Star Wars The Force Awakens. I got Mike here with me, who has also just returned. Hey, Mike.
Yes, I just got done seeing the film also. Thank you for having me on again, David.
Oh, you're more than welcome on my show. So, guys, wow, that is all I gotta say. I had extremely high expectations going into this film. I think with everything that's happened with the prequels and whatnot and all the hype that's been building, I was worried that it wasn't going to live up to the hype. As far as I'm concerned, not only did The Force Awakens meet my expectations, but in some cases surpassed what my expectations. There were a few criticisms, though, that I have with the film, and Mike and I will actually be discussing this today. Seeing how late it is, though, right now, we're going to try to keep this as brief as possible. Obviously, there will be spoilers, so if you don't want the film to be spoiled, please leave now. Please stop the video, go see the movie. That's all I got to say. This film is fantastic, and you should go see it. But for those of you who actually want to hear our thoughts on individual aspects of the movie, just stay in. So we'll give you a moment to get out. Okay, so for those of you who are actually staying in or kept watching the video, my whole thing with this film, it was beautiful. Number one, it pushed all the right buttons for me in my theater. We were uh, all pumped, like we were cheering, we laughed, we cried, we gasped, we were like everything. It made us react exactly the way an audience should, especially for a Star Wars film. And this felt like a return to what we know. And it did that in several ways by paying homage to a lot of the original trilogy's tropes, which can be a good thing and a bad thing, as we talked about. I love the characters in this film. Rey and Finn were fantastic. Kylo Ren was a different sort of villain than I initially imagined him to be, along with probably a big bomb dropped quite early in the film that he is Han Solo's son. That is a big bomb that was dropped pretty early in the film, and too
Well,
early,
Han,
I thought.
Han and Leah's son. Let's
Yeah,
not forget her.
I mean, it was I was shocked about how early they actually dropped it. It was just absolutely insane. So, what do you have to say? What were your favorite moments about the film?
Well, I didn't want to interrupt your overall impressions of like what you were saying about the film. I was going to wait until we were going to get into like the editorial portion of this, which I guess we're at right now. Pardon me. I I thought it was a very entertaining movie, and I grew up watching Star Wars. I was like 3 or 4 when the first film came out. I've seen them all in the theater, and I think that, like you said, that this definitely goes back, and Abrams, J.J. Abrams, the director, definitely captured the the feel of what the original trilogy was before they did like the prequels with the CGI crap fest, with everything being CGI. And I like seeing like a lot of real locations and a lot of like practical effects. That's the first thing that I really noticed. And well, I would say the 3 leads are great. Um, with our 3 new main characters that we have, I thought they were all great. And it was nice to see, of course, Han and Leia, and the big denouement with Luke showing up. So it was kind of neat to see all them, and Chewbacca, of course, and C-3PO and R2-D2. I like the balance that they had between the seriousness and the humor of it. I thought the very beginning. I'm just kind of like hitting bullet points through here. I think the very beginning seemed a little bit slow, and I'm usually not one to criticize things for being slow moving to get into things, but it kind of seemed like a been there, done that for me, like a little deja vu-ish. And then it started picking up I'd say about half an hour into the movie for me, because I thought I was going to be a little bit disappointed. I really thought that the scene was pretty neat where Han and Chewbacca were introduced, and you had these like crazy multi-tentacled creatures going through the Millennium Falcon, and that was kind of neat, the humor with all the characters playing off each other in that scene.
Yeah,
and
it was.
one of the things that you had mentioned about a familiarity with like some of the other films, the big criticism I have with this is I just felt kind of like been there, done that. I mean, they have a planet killer destroyer like in this film, and I think that they've gone to the well one too many times with that concept, where it's like, how many times can you have a planet destroying celestial entity, where you're blasting things, blasting other planets? I mean, it just seemed kind of like, how many more Death Stars do we need times 10? We're just going to do the same concept and just make it, 20 times the size of the Death Star, so that, we can have another trilogy and just make another, again, bigger Death Star. So it's kind of, that seemed a little bit almost like they were kind of making fun of the franchise by having this concept retreaded so often.
Yeah, I can see definitely where you're going with this. And to be honest, when we're looking at the overall lore of Star Wars, you got to find a way to up the stakes from the Death Star. But I think in the overall grand scheme of things, I believe there is something bigger on the way, and not in terms of just scope and size. I mean, literally, I think that whatever Supreme Leader Snoke is planning, it is much, much bigger than any of us realize.
Now, see, I'm not a fan, and I say that not because I dislike it. I've never like delved into like the world, the lore of Star Trek outside of the films.
You mean Star Wars? Careful, people will kill us for that.
Yeah, what did I say? Star Trek?
Yeah, you said Star Trek.
Oh crap! I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I meant to say Star Wars. Obviously, I know the difference between the two. That was just kind of a little bit of a brain fart there. But I guess I was thinking more on the point I was trying to make rather than the title of what I was saying, was the fact that I need to do some reading about like some of these characters that were introduced in this film, because I believe that Snoke, isn't he like a big character outside of the films?
No.
Oh,
No.
he's not. Okay.
This is the first time we've seen him.
Well, I mean, see, I know nothing about who he is. I mean, I don't know if you do or...
No, none of us do.
Oh, okay.
Well, the thing is, we know obviously he's Force sensitive. I doubt he's a Sith, as on the terms of the Emperor and Vader, what they were. The thing is with those two, with Supreme Leader Snoke, I mean, it's so hard to tell what exactly he is. I mean, a lot of people thought he was going to be Darth Plagueis, like Darth Sidious's old master, which, after looking at what Snoke looks like, I can safely say that it's not Plagueis, because he in no way resembles the species that Plagueis was, which I believe was Moon, Muun, for those of you who don't know how to spell that. But the thing, I mean, it's so weird because it's hard for me to like get my thoughts out when I don't know that much about the character. And we knew more about Kylo Ren in this case, who proved to be more interesting than Snoke. I will say one of my very few disappointments of the movie was Captain Phasma, Gwendolyn Christie's character, with the chrome armor. I thought that while she was used well, I didn't think they used her enough. They made her seem like she had a bigger presence in this movie than they let on, and she really only had a handful of scenes and really not much impact to the story at all. There were some funny moments, like the moment when they were saying, like, "Oh, let's dump her in the trash compactor."
Yeah,
that was funny. But they did confirm that Phasma will be back for episode 8, so she survived. Finn will also be back for episode 8, as well as, let me see, who else? It was, and Luke. Luke would play a big role in episode 8.
there were some things when you mentioned that character that, like there were like a couple of scenes to me that, including the one that she was in, when they grabbed her and kind of held her at gunpoint.
Yeah.
To shut down the force field. That there were large jumps in time that happened that weren't very well edited to me, where it didn't really seem like all of a sudden they were at like point A and they got to point B, and there was not a real good segue that kind of smoothed that period in between, where they just kind of like, it's almost like they just like disappeared and transported from like one place to another in time there. That I noticed that it didn't seem like a smooth transition time-wise. You know, it's like they saw like Daisy Ridley's character, and it's like, you know, oh, there she is, and then boom, they cut right to like they're running into her coming around a corner, and it seemed like there was a good distance there, even though, I mean, because of the fact that they were separated by like such a large like open space, like a large divide there, that it just seemed like that they were running around rather like unobserved for the large part. I mean, you would think they'd be running into people left and right, like that work, you know, like stormtroopers and whatnot, but they just seemed like they were just running around down empty corridors most of the time, where it's like, where's everybody at, you know?
Yeah.
Like they'd blast a couple of stormtroopers or whatever, and then they'd go, oh, well, we need to make it way over there on the other side, and then all of a sudden they're over there in the next like scene, and you're like, well, did they not encounter any fighting in between those two places, or what? You know, getting from point A to point B. I mean, these are minor complaints at this point with that. I mean, I was entertained. I thought it was cool when they went to the bar. That character that they introduced, the one that's got the glasses.
Maz Kanata.
Yeah, she was kind of neat, and I did like. I thought Kylo Ren was well done. The problem with me with Star Wars always seemed like that Darth Vader was always just this really like badass, sort of like really dark, mysterious, like looming, very intimidable sort of presence, and it just seems like it's really tough to create another villain that could top that, because especially after they did the prequel trilogy, where they kind of demystified Vader by showing him as this bratty little kid, and it's kind of difficult to reestablish this big threat that would top Vader, in my opinion, in Star Wars.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what this did show. You know what it showed?
What?
It reinforced the one fact in the Star Wars universe, the one constant. Skywalker family has a lot of daddy issues.
Yeah, that's true, right?
Seriously, let's look at this. I'm pretty sure, well, we can't say Vader didn't have daddy issues because there was no dad. Luke had daddy issues. Who else? Leia had daddy issues. Kylo Ren's got daddy issues. And Rey's got daddy issues. And that's going into the one thing, guys, I am willing to bet, and this is my one big theory that I've actually been thinking for a while, considering that we knew nothing of Rey's past in the build-up to The Force Awakens. I honestly believe that Rey is Luke Skywalker's daughter. Now, there is actual... Now, I thought about this as I was watching the movie, and even after I got out, and it makes more sense the more you think about it, was the first thing is when she touches Anakin's lightsaber. You get, not only does she have the vision of Luke, but you can also hear the beginning, I believe you hear Darth Vader's breathing. And I just feel that started at first, but then when they were talking about, it made me think Luke Skywalker is the most wanted man in the galaxy. The First Order is trying relentlessly to hunt him down. And imagine he has a daughter. Where would be the one place no one would ever look for her? You would separate those two as far as the galaxy could be, and you'd put her, like, basically, kind of abandon her at the same time. That's why I say Rey's got daddy issues. But
well, remember the character that female character, alien in the bar with the glasses. You know, you're better at these names than I am as far as like some of these side characters I've never seen before. Yeah. She even tells her character that she tells Rey that the fact that what you're looking for is not behind you, but ahead of you. So she's probably, like you said, talking about the whole thing about she's been she's been left and abandoned. But what she's looking for is basically what she left or what she lost is ahead of her. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that would line up in sync with the Star Wars mythos of leaving children behind for the greater good, like leaving characters behind only for them to pick them back up later on, and for like fate to intervene and have them come across each other again.
Yeah, and what I liked about Rey's character was her reaction to the Force and that lightsaber was, I think, probably the most realistic reaction someone would have. Like, look at Luke when he realized what kind of power he had. He just fully just embraced it and just went, okay, let's go, gung-ho, all that. But Rey was terrified. She wanted nothing to do with it. And I think, to be honest, that was a really good reaction from her, because what she saw would terrify any person. You just wanted to help. You wanted to help this little droid, and you had no idea that it would draw you into this. And I mean, it was just, it's terrifying to be in that kind of position. But when she, by the end of it, when she fully embraced who she was, and was fighting Kylo Ren with no proper lightsaber combat training, mind you, and managed to defeat him. That's, I think, when she fully, like, she was doubting herself, that she doubted that she was as powerful as like Kylo Ren and as the others thought she was. Oh, go ahead.
Speaking of the lightsaber portion, it just reminded me, one of my favorite scenes in the film was when Finn pulled the lightsaber out and, like, cranked it up and just looked at Kylo Ren like, all right, time for you to go down.
Yeah, I love that. It's like, that weapon is mine. Come and take it then.
Yeah, and that was really great. One of the things that was great was seeing, like, the snowy background, like the setting in this with, like, the lightsaber duel in the snowy woods, like the choreography and or the cinematography rather, and the choreography for that matter, were great. But the cinematography was really good in this.
It really was. I will say, as far as the lightsaber duels, much better. I think we found the middle ground, because I watched your behind the scenes before this, and they actually were talking about the lightsaber combat. It was based a lot on kendo, and it's not about very flashy moves. It's just about you trying to end the fight as quickly as possible by hitting your opponent. It's nothing absolutely fancy about it. And I felt it was more aggressive than anything we've seen in Star Wars before. I mean, we've had the flips, we had the kicks, but that wasn't in here. And to be honest, I actually liked that.
It seemed to be very primal and less choreographed.
That's exactly the word I was thinking. Like, I mean, like, I was talking to some of the people in the theater, and I'm like, this is very, like, I almost want, primal and barbaric, I feel. I mean, just the way that they were lashing out at each other. And I feel that, did you think that Rey was starting to teeter on the edge of the dark side there, right when she was, like, fighting Kylo Ren?
No, I think it struck me more as the fact that she was acquiring more, almost like an internal dialogue from the Force, like, kind of almost tapping her on the shoulder and letting her know, hey, this is bad news, push this guy away.
Yeah. I'm very happy they didn't kill Kylo Ren. I am extremely happy that they didn't kill him. Now, here's the thing I don't want to happen. Like you said, we've seen this kind of stuff before with Starkiller Base. Likewise, I do not want the same redemption story being retold with Kylo Ren. Because obviously, I think there will be some redemption for him. But what I want to happen is, I don't want it to be exactly like what happened in Return of the Jedi, where Kylo Ren's the one that kills Supreme Leader Snoke, and he's the hero. I don't want that. I mean, there has to be something new that has to be brought to the table.
Well, what do you think about the big thing in the film? Like him killing Han Solo.
My heart broke. I was in tears. I never expected that to happen. I mean, I had a very bad feeling when he confronted Kylo Ren, and the closer it got, the more the worse that feeling got. That I was kind of like shaking my head. I was going, no, 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 don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And then it happened. As soon as the light of the sun went out and it was just them in the dark, I'm like, God damn it, he's gonna do it. And then he did it, and all of us, we screamed in the theater. A lot of us did, because we didn't want that. As I mean, we knew it was probably going to happen, but at the same time, we didn't want it to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Something that felt a little out of place also was we're so used to getting the 20th Century Fox fanfare into the film, and it kind of lost something for me without having that. I mean, I know that's kind of trivial, but I mean, seemingly, but it just seemed like it was like you had the Lucasfilm logo, and then it was like just a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. There wasn't like that build up.
No magic.
Yeah, it's kind of like the if you're used to like seeing like the James Bond films, it's like without that gun barrel at the beginning to kind of kick you into the adventure. It almost feels like you're you're getting off on like an odd foot. It's something you're kind of like used to the build up. Kind of like getting on a roller coaster. You get on there, you go up to the top of the first hill, and then you go flying down, and it's like you have had that kind of pulled from you from the get-go all of a sudden, and it just feels odd.
It felt odd, yeah, but I didn't let it bother me that much. It was odd, but at the same time, we knew it wasn't going to be in there. So, yeah. What do you think of the stormtroopers this time around? I definitely like how the stormtroopers were portrayed. That some of them were actually portrayed as competent soldiers.
Yeah. Oh, I like the scene with where the one stormtrooper kind of like calls Finn out, and he's got that funky sort of like instrument, like it's almost like nunchucks or something. And
yeah, that's the riot. That's a riot suppression trooper. He called him out as a traitor. He was like, I'm. You know what? Screw this. I'm gonna take you out myself.
Well, how come the lightsaber's not like just slicing right through that?
Well, go back to episode 3 where General Grievous had his Magna Guard, those droids with the electric staffs.
Yeah.
I believe that the riot trooper's baton is charged with a very similar amount of electric energy. And that can repel a lightsaber blow.
Okay.
And besides, the First Order's been on a manhunt for the last Jedi, so I think they would have made some lightsaber-resistant weapons.
Okay. Well, one of the things, this kind of leads me to my next question was, I guess I'll start it off or preface it by saying, or asking rather, what do you think of seeing Vader's helmet in this?
It was a little chilling. It was chilling. Especially hearing Kylo Ren calling him grandfather.
Yeah, and that was neat. I liked seeing that. I thought it was like a little bit, like you say, it's kind of like a little bit of a chilling sort of thing. But one of the things I've never really understood was, and this is going to be a throwback to like the trilogy that I'm discussing here, but it leads kind of back into this. We're going to come full circle here, but okay, we see Vader's helmet, and it's melted, obviously, from the funeral pyre that Luke lit in Return of the Jedi, correct?
Correct.
So, was Vader's whole outfit made from, like, the same material?
Yeah, well, yes and no. The suit was pressurized. It was, I think I actually have... hold on. I actually have a book where that explains what the suit is made of. Give me one moment, and I will
Well,
actually grab it.
well, that's fine. I'll explain what I'm saying as you're looking for it, though. Where I'm going with this is in Empire Strikes Back, when Luke and Vader are having a lightsaber duel on Bespin, Luke strikes Vader in the shoulder with the lightsaber, like full on, full force, and it barely does anything. Now, you hear Vader go, "Oh," but there was no significant damage done to him in that outfit. So that outfit he's got on has got to be pretty solid, protection from harm via lightsaber. So how is it that his helmet gets burned up and melted in just a basic fire that you could have out in the woods if it's made from the same material? I don't understand that.
I see what you mean with your argument. I really do. Hold on. I'm trying. I thought I had it somewhere. Wait, I had it right next to me the entire time. I'm stupid. Give me one moment. I'm pulling it up right now. Okay. This is actually from the New Essential Guide to Weapons and Technology. So let me just get this out. Here we go. Blast armor. Stormtrooper, Mandalorian. Here we are. Okay. The villainous Sith Lord known as Darth Vader was once an idealistic young Jedi Knight named Anakin Skywalker, yada yada yada. Although terrifying to behold, Darth Vader's armor was primarily designed to provide life support. Circuitry throughout the suit monitored pulmonary, respiratory, and neural systems. Diagnostic information collected by the suit could be accessed via 3 slot-like data ports located on Vader's chest unit. Like Stormtrooper armor, the suit was equipped with a sensitive temperature regulation system, which could be controlled by a function box on his belt. The suit's heating unit was powerful enough to allow Vader to walk on the surface of icy Hoth without any additional protection. Another belt-mounted function box housed the respiratory sensor matrix responsible for controlling Vader's breathing. Let me see. Here we go. Durasteel armor plates protected many parts of Vader's body, including his shoulders, ribcage, and shins. His gloves and the padding on his chest and arms consisted of blast-dampening armor. Various displays inside Vader's helmet supplied the Sith Lord with a steady stream of data, amplifying his already formidable connection to the Force. His helmet's eye coverings provide infrared and ultraviolet vision, allowing Vader to see clearly in complete darkness, and dampeners offered limited defense against sonic attacks. The suit was also equipped with all-terrain combat boots and armor-weaved cape. Although he had access to lightsaber-resistant cortices, Vader relied on his own skill with the weapon to protect himself from Jedi attacks. Apparently, it could be its defense type. It could deflect blaster energy, sonic energy, heat, cold, electrical energy to a point, because force lightning is what ended up killing him in the end. It shorted out his life support systems. Kinetic, explosive, piercing, slashing, and poison. So the Durasteel plates were what were the ones that took the lightsaber blows that you were talking about in Empire Strikes Back. When he hit him on the shoulder. It offered limited protection against lightsabers.
Well, wait a minute. If that's the case, it would have done more damage then, based on what you just said. If that was what he had, then that would have provided less protection, is what you just said, if I heard you correctly. So if he got hit by a lightsaber, like it seems like, because you said that it was less resistant to lightsaber, correct?
Oh well, no. The Durasteel is less resistant to lightsabers than cortices, which is lightsaber resistant. But
okay, I got you.
The way that the suit was made, it could take a hit from a lightsaber. It could take a few, but not many. Like in 1 or 2 hits, it could withstand that.
So it's almost like a bulletproof vest. You're still going to feel it, but it's not going to kill you.
Yeah, and
So to me, like that seems kind of odd that he wouldn't have a helmet made of the same material, because wouldn't you expect that you would have rebellion soldiers like shooting for your head or something possibly? I mean,
that's why he relied on the Force and his skills with a lightsaber. In fact, I actually finished reading the book Lords of the Sith, which is canon, by the way, and him and the Emperor were trapped on a hostile planet with hundreds of people trying to kill them. And Vader proved that no one could take him by surprise in that book. He was like his ability with the Force allowed him to survive and do things that many would consider impossible.
well, the other thing that was interesting was I thought people with the Force could detect each other. Like Vader detected someone with the Force, like he knew Luke was around. How come he wasn't able to detect Rey when they were on the Sky Killer planet? They were in immediate proximity. And the other thing is,
he was distracted because he sensed his father. He sensed Han and the others.
well, I mean, we that's something we would assume, but I mean, that's not really like spelled out that clearly. Because even if he detected Han was on the planet, right, and then Han walks up behind him, pretty much runs up behind him, and it catches him off guard. How does that explained?
I think he knew. I think he
Could
knew
be. Okay.
because I mean he didn't act all surprised when he saw Han. He knew that that this was eventually going to happen. But I mean, it was as far as Ray goes. I don't know why he didn't detect her. I can only assume it was because of him sensing Han's presence on the planet.
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
that's
Luke,
weird. That's weird. Hold on a minute. That's weird though, because Leia wasn't even on the planet, and she sensed the loss of what happened with Han.
well, she is powerful in the Force. She just chose not to embrace the path of a Jedi like Luke did.
Okay.
That her Force ability is still there, and I guarantee you, Luke felt it as well when Han passed. Because Han does, I believe they said in the expanded universe. I know that's not canon, but I'm pretty sure Han was Force sensitive to a point.
Well, I'm just glad the film was like a good film. I mean, I gave it like 3 out of 5, or maybe 3.5, maybe 3.5 out of 5 stars, you could say. I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was enjoyable. It wasn't fantastic, I thought. I mean, you're a huge fan. You're going to love it, and I think that's great. I mean, I'm glad you did. I'm a fan. I'm not like a mega fan, but I mean, I'm a fan. And going into this, I was glad to see that it actually captured some of the magic that was the original trilogy that I recall. But I just I'll have to watch it again. But there were just a lot of things that were really familiar that seemed like they were kind of retreading A New Hope. But there were a lot of great things in this that equaled it out to make it like to where it edged out as far as being mediocre or fantastic. I thought it was more leaning towards the good than fantastic or great. I would say it's a really good film.
Now, I'm gonna disagree with you about I am a Star Wars fan, but the closer I got to this movie, the more apprehensive I got. I was excited. At the same time, I was really afraid of what this film was going to be because I didn't know what it was going to be, and I was terrified of the prospect that it could suck. And I had very high expectations for it. And you know what they say: if you go into a film with super high expectations, you're going to walk away disappointed. And
I didn't think it was going to suck. I just, I, you know, I mean, If it wasn't Star Wars, I mean, come on, you have to be honest and say that there was a lot of really flat acting in that. I mean, Carrie Fisher was horrible in this. Honestly, there were some real kind of heavy-handed sort of like scenes where they were trying to really kind of crowbar in the emotional output of like some things. And it was like, come on, it felt like a little bit. It felt a little hokey a couple of times. I mean, with mainly with the older actors, not with the new people. The new people were great, I thought. Luke, I think. I mean, it was great seeing Luke. Like I said, it was great seeing Han and 3PO and R2 and Chewbacca. But I mean, like Leia seemed really. And I'm not trying to be misogynist here, like picking on the one woman, but I mean, it seemed like really like it just like she had been away from acting for like too long, and it just seemed like she was really not on the same par as the other actors in her scenes. She seemed like a little bit more amateurish. I'm not trying to be picky, I promise you. I'm just like that's something I definitely noticed that I talked to my lady friend. She and I were at the theater about as we were watching it, And I'm trying to think. I mean, everyone loves Star Wars. I mean, someone could have literally vomited on a paper plate and people would think it's a great film because it's Star Wars. I mean, if you're a mega fan, you already have a confirmation bias towards wanting to like the film. And I don't mean you, I'm just talking about in general. People who are fans of something are going to go into it wanting to like it right off the bat. And their first mechanism is they're going to come up with reasons why something was really good, even if it wasn't really good and it was just okay. And I'm not saying this film is like that. I'm just saying that in general, people have a habit with film franchises that they'll see something and they'll go, well, I really want to. I mean, look at what happened with the prequels. I talked to people that they thought like the Phantom Menace was like so excellent and so great, and it's like you have to cut through that and be a little bit more realistic and go, come on, man, it wasn't that great. And enough time went by where people started to actually admit the fact of, Phantom Menace wasn't really that great. When Attack of the Clones came out, they're like, oh, this is so much better.
I will be seeing The Force Awakens again, and to be honest, like with my next month, it's going to be my birthday next month, so I'm thinking of actually going to IMAX to see it there because I got a free ticket.
And by the way, for your birthday, what is one of your good buddies, me, going to be sending you for your birthday?
Mike is sending me the Blu-ray Star Wars films.
The Blu-ray, the complete box set, all existing 6 films thus far on video in Blu-ray, because this guy has not seen it on Blu-ray, which is like incredibly good.
I haven't. I've kept a hold of my DVDs, so thank you for that. That's going to be fantastic. I cannot wait to add The Force Awakens to my collection, because what the thing was, I as excited as I was, I looked at this from an open mind, which is why I pointed out the flaws, with Star Killer Base. Like, I like that, you did the whole homage to the trench run with Poe flying his X-wing into that small little cracked, fire at the inside, like the main reactor to it, like destroy Star Killer Base. But I think, an homage is one thing, but then you're like literally ripping off the entire third act. I mean, it's not terrible in any way, but there's a line that there's homage and then there's ripping it off. And again, it doesn't take away from the entertainment value of the film. That's why I gave it a 4. I still think that I still consider it a 4, despite that, because not only were the characters great, the emotional moments managed to hit home. And while Empire Strikes Back remains probably one of the best in terms of emotionally connecting the audience with the characters, this film did, I will say, almost as good a job as that, because you care about these characters even though we've literally just met them. And the way they are written is fantastic.
I think that the three leads, again, the three new characters, the main leads, they were all excellent. Kudos to them. I can't give this like 4 stars out of 5 because I'm thinking of all the Star Wars films. You know, the Empire Strikes Back, the first Star Wars, those two were like classic, classic, classic. And then you really fell up quite far after Empire with Return of the Jedi. And I saw that in the theaters. You know, I loved it. It's fun. It's a great film as far as like entertainment value, but it's not a great film. I mean, it's not. And I got to tell you, like this film, I probably liked as much as Return of the Jedi. I mean, right now, fresh off of seeing it like less than an hour ago, it's nowhere near a Star Wars or Empire Strikes Back. And Empire was fantastically good.
Well, that's legendary.
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars to me, like at the time, I think a lot of this has to do, and I've said this before, and it's going to be controversial, I'm sure, but the whole thing about Star Wars is it captured something that happened at a particular time. It's very difficult to replicate that sort of nostalgic return to childhood or return to something that you remember. It's one of those things where when you go back, it's kind of like, this isn't as great as I remember it when I was a kid, sort of thing. Like it seems like a lot more. It's kind of like if you go back to like a home that you grew up in when you were a kid, and then you moved out when you were like a teenager or something, and you go back and you go, God, I remember this house like seems so much bigger in my mind. I remember it seemed like my backyard was like a complete adventure land where I used to run through the woods and I used to like, you know, whatever, you know, run around.
Yeah.
Playing out, you know, adventures like Star Wars, acting like you're Luke Skywalker or something. And then you go back and you go, oh, well, geez, you know, this really isn't that big. I mean, I feel that way with Star Wars, the whole franchise, because to me, like, I really loved the first trilogy nostalgically. That's why I went to see this film. And I enjoyed it. I was really entertained. I was excited. And I'm not saying it sucked. It's not that at all. I just, it wasn't fantastic to me. It did its job by being entertaining, and I thought that was great. I mean, that's all I can ask of it, is for it to be entertaining. It was great to see some of these characters again. I think that we are going to have a movie, and I'm not taking away from this film by saying that I thought it was bad. I thought it was entertaining, like I said. I want to see what Luke's going to do in this next film. I think that's going to be the real movie of this trilogy that's going to get people like, wow, like really hooked into what's going on. Because just like Star Wars, it kicked off a trilogy. It kicked off like 3 films, and they were kind of setting the stage in this film, The Force Awakens, for what's going on with these new characters. So I really can't imagine what they have in store for like these new characters, as well as like Luke and Leia and Chewbacca and those guys.
The one thing, yeah, I totally agree with you, because think about how Luke is probably feeling. I mean, he blames himself for what happened with Kylo Ren, with the fact that his own nephew turned to the dark side and just betrayed everything they stood for. And I would see he would be like it kind of in that position where Yoda was in Empire Strikes Back, kind of like knowing that training this new Jedi is the right thing to do, but at the same time remembering their failure, they're reluctant to train.
And remember, Yoda was that way with Luke also.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm
and wasn't it fantastic to see? Okay, we had Ben Kenobi. And then we had like Yoda, and now we have Luke wearing the traditional Jedi garb. You know, for them, I mean, we had Obi-Wan went into seclusion. Yoda went into seclusion, you know, for different reasons, of course. Well, actually, no. I mean, Yoda and Obi-Wan, from what I understand, went into seclusion because they were being hunted down by the Empire, right?
And Luke went into seclusion because he was being hunted down by the First Order.
Yeah, that's where I was going with this, is the fact it was really cool to see Luke in the position of kind of being the hermit, the secluded hermit. And wasn't that a beautiful island he was on? I mean, that was great.
It was a beautiful film. absolutely loved what was done. And so, personally, to J.J. Abrams and everyone who worked on The Force Awakens, job well done. You've restored my faith in Star Wars that it can be done. We're only going to have to wait 2 years until Episode 8. Next year, though, we will be getting Star Wars Rogue One, which is going to be extremely interesting because it will be about a completely unrelated story. It will be about how the rebels stole the very first Death Star plan. So, with that, we've been at this for getting close to an hour, and as it is late, I will be heading off to get some much needed rest. And
Let me say one thing real quick. I wanted to put it before we go here. Abrams did a better job with Star Wars than he did with Star Trek.
Yeah, it isn't the irony of it. It took a Star Trek director to make Star Wars great again.
Well, see, I don't even consider Abrams the Star Trek director. It's kind of the point I'm making is his, and I'm not going to make this about Star Trek, but just to make a quick comment, Abrams' Trek films, which I found entertaining, they were trying to capture too much of the Star Trek feel or Star Wars feel, and Trek and Star Wars obviously are two way different, like, entities, different franchises, different vibe, different things going on. Star Wars is like a sci-fi fantasy, and Star Trek is just like sci-fi, just like dealing with sci-fi concepts. It's more story-related, things like that. Star Wars, the reason why I say it's fantasies, it's dealing with, it's more like almost like medieval knights. You're dealing with like, there's that whole thing that Lucas was talking about with Joseph Campbell and his writings about like the legend of the hero and the whole thing about Luke and what was going on with Anakin and all that kind of stuff. But Abrams made Trek a little bit too Star Wars-ish in feel, in my opinion. But in Star Wars, he did a great job in this film of really recapturing what went on with the feel of the original trilogy, which I think was like spot on, really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've seen a Star Trek film, so I can't really comment on that. But I will say to J.J. Abrams, job well done. Job well done.
Yes.
This was not an easy job, and there are probably a million things that could have went wrong and could have made this movie terrible. But you managed to make an amazing Star Wars film, which normally people would say, well, all of, like, it shouldn't be that hard. Considering the track record of films we have, it's pretty difficult.
I actually liked Revenge of the Sith.
No, it was good. I'm more talking about how, you got Empire, you have A New Hope as some of the better ones.
Well, you're never going to recapture that. I mean, as far as like, a lot of times, like people like they'll start these films, they'll put the film out. It's a classic because it's kind of like you can never remake Jaws, you can never remake Star Wars. You can try and remake some of these films, but it doesn't recapture a place and a time and what was going on. To that, all of these different combinations of different things are what make these films a classic, and you're never going to go back and like recapture that. And what they can do is like write really good stories and continue what goes on with these characters and stuff like that. But you're never going to have like another Empire. You're never going to have another Star Wars. And I actually really enjoyed Revenge of the Sith, and I put this film on that level. Actually, I think this film, it might edge out Revenge of the Sith a little bit, but I thought that was a really good entry in the franchise.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you said about the main leads, Poe, Rey, and Finn. They were fantastic. I can't wait to see how this will unfold in Episode 8. 2 years. It felt like it was so long when that first trailer came out for episode 7, and now we gotta wait 2 more years. At least we'll have a Star Wars film in between, guys. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. As always, thank you, Mike, for coming on to share your love of Star Wars with the rest of us. It was a pleasure having you on.
Thank you again, sir.
No problem. So, guys, I will see you with my next video soon. As you guys know, Ruby is taking a hiatus until after the winter break. So, during that time, I will be releasing my thoughts on 2 Star Wars books, Death Troopers and Lords of the Sith. So, be ready for that near the New Year. At least expect one by New Year's Eve. And another one probably in January. So I hope you guys all enjoyed. My name is Darth Cinema, and I will see you guys next time. Take care, and I'll see you later.